Hello and welcome to FTB Sports. This is the post-match reaction show for the game Spurs versus West Bromwich Albion. And it was 2-0 to the Spurs. And as you can see, my guests are in a lot better frame of mind than we have been over the last few days. So welcome to Mike, welcome to Darius, and a new member to the cast today, Marlon Bashman. How are we all doing?
I'm very, very happy.
Much happier today.
Positive.
It's a lot more positive feeling and a lot more. So yeah, we had a good game. We had a good game today from the Spurs. I'm going to ask all you guys for your reaction to the actual performance. So we start off with you, Mike. What's your thoughts on the game today?
I thought Lamela and Lucas Moura were the difference today. I thought they brought a lot of energy to the side. Much compared to the Chelsea game, the energy that they brought to today's game, I think is what we needed. They were more forward thinking. They were positive. They created chances. We pressed well. Everyone had a good game today, and it looked like the players wanted to win. And I have there's no negatives. I know we played West Brom, but you can only beat what's in front of you, right? So we did that. I thought we were comfortable, and it just felt like a different vibe within the team today. So yeah, all in all, I thought it was a good all-round performance by everyone.
100%. I think you're right about the energy. That's the one thing that, I wrote down after the Chelsea game. There was no intensity, there was no energy, there was no aggression from the players, all of which I saw today. Harry Kane obviously influenced these players. Him coming back, I was a little bit, do we need to have a Harry Kane rushed back? Obviously, the injury couldn't have been as bad as first feared. But then saying that, you just don't want to see him get any sort of injury because he is the most important player for us as is shown by the way he's playing, results-wise, and goals and assists. Darius, what's your thoughts on the game?
I've always been, throughout the whole of this season, I've noticed how Mourinho sets up his teams. And I've always said that when we've got the ball, players don't seem to make instinctive runs. They don't seem to make runs off the ball subconsciously. And bringing Lucas and Lamela into this team, those two were just making runs every single time. Even if it was a short five-yard run into the space that was available for Kane to pass the ball to them, those little runs made such a difference because it pulled players out of position. It allowed Son to make runs. It allowed other players to get into space. So I think that the whole team movement off the ball when we had possession was a massive improvement. I think that was the reason why we were able to kind of look like we were threatening a lot more in the game. And I'm proud to say that we actually looked like a solid team, team attacking and defending. There wasn't any time in that match where I thought, yeah, we're not going to hold on to this lead. And normally when we go 2-0 up, I'm still thinking we need to score another 2 more to even think about being safe. But this game, after 45 minutes, we weren't even winning after 45 minutes. And I was like, I'm not that fussed. I said, I think we're going to win this. And as proven, we came out and we did not slack off. We went for that first goal. We went for the second goal, and we continued trying to go for the third and fourth goal. So I think that was the main thing for me. That was a good sight to see. We didn't follow a blueprint of a game. We decided to take it to a team that we knew weren't going to give it to us. And I just hope that we continue doing that in the future games.
Yeah, 100%. The performance definitely was there. Obviously, the result was all important. It was about winning today. I know, having spoke with you, Marlon, you're very critical of Jose, as was Darius. Has been very critical of Jose. I think we all have been critical of Jose in the past. My thoughts are still the same, as we have to win a trophy as Spurs. But you give me your overview of the game today.
I think I've got a different aspect to it. I think I'm constantly ranting. I rant everywhere. No, seriously. I think people just like me commenting with my madness. But I think Lamela was key today, 100%. I think it was based around his performance. When he plays, he gives 100%, 110% all the time.
Definitely.
He battles. And I think he gets other players up for it as well. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, he takes a lot of chances with the forward passes, but at least he takes those chances and creates. But I think he was the key today. He was the key driver. Lucas, I thought he took a bit long to get into the game, but then West Brom was sitting back. But yeah, I think Lamela is key. Him today, when he's on form, he makes a difference for Spurs. But I think fans can be very critical of him sometimes. I don't know if they expect.
I think
straight away. But.
You know what it was with Lamela, and Lamella's been at the club since 2013, so he's been there 8 years, and we as fans have never seen a consistent Lamela play for 90 minutes, game after game after game. We know he's got talent. I know he's got ability. He does bring a lot. He's aggressive. He brings so much more dynamism to the team. He does look forward compared to Sissoko. In terms of somebody playing, because he was kind of a bit of a hybrid today. He just was like in that sort of 10, but he was buzzing all around. He was just making sure we got the ball. Sissoko has no influence in the forward part of the pitch. And for me, that's why we lacked this in the last 3 games, certainly the last game against Chelsea, because we had Højbjerg and, as I said, Sissoko dropping so deep that it was Ndombele on his own. And you can't play 1v4 in midfield. Today, we matched the numbers in midfield. So although West Brom were playing a 4-5-1 and trying to get around players, we was on Højbjerg and Ndombele were picking the ball up in deeper areas, but not picking it up in the centre-back area. They were picking it up a little bit further forward because Lamela and Lucas Moura were playing a little bit more higher up. So they couldn't,
weren't they?
there was more, players and options to pass into. It wasn't allowing, players who were like too far apart. When you're too far apart in your lines, you cannot keep possession. And we kept possession early doors from first minute. But again, I will always say, and I think all you guys will agree, it was West Brom. So we want to see if this can continue to be done going forward. In terms of, the starting lineup, was it a surprise to see Kane?
Yeah.
Anybody
For me, it was. Yeah, I didn't like the lineup. I'll be so honest. I thought the lineup was horrible. I thought, we ain't got a chance looking at the team. But again, I'll always say this. You can start your best players. If you tell those best players to sit back and play 2 banks of 4 and 2 up front, there's only so much they're going to be able to do. So you can clearly see that despite the personnel being different, Jose had set that team up to attack and to go at West Brom, knowing that they weren't going to really threaten us in any way. So again, while the lineup, I thought was bad, I look back at it now, and obviously it was the right choices to make. I think it was just a Jose's decision to kind of take the seatbelt off a little bit.
So the only player in that lineup that I wasn't comfortable with was Sanchez. The rest of it, I was quite like, I'm quite relaxed with that lineup. I thought it was quite, when you look at it on paper, it was quite attack minded. But the only player I say, I was just a bit like, oh, we've got rid of one mistake and brought another one in. But on the whole, I don't think he had a bad game. So I can't even. There's no negatives to Sanchez today. I thought he was solid and he did what he had to do. And
Marlon, what's your thoughts on Sanchez? Because I'll say my bit, because me and Mike have gone through this a number of times, as has Darius with me and Sanchez. But what's your thoughts on Sanchez as a centre back and a pairing with him and Alderweireld?
I think he's a hit and miss. I rate him. I do rate him. I think whenever he
hold on, start again. You do what? You rate him?
I do. I actually rate him. I just think that he has a mistake in him, but whenever it is very costly. But whenever he makes a mistake, he's thrown out the team straight away. I think they even the whole defense, they need to have a set number of games so you can get used to each other. You can't keep changing it, and I think that's the problem. But I think him and Alderweireld work around. But then I like Dyer as well, so I don't know. Dyer's distribution is up there. You can't knock his distribution, but he's a bit of an airhead sometimes with defending. Right. But when he gets the ball, he can pass the ball. So I don't know.
Our centre back defensive pairings, when they're not under pressure, in terms of, when I say under pressure, because they're always under pressure in the game, when we're comfortable, like I said, when you're 2-0 up, it seems like they can play. And we had dominated a lot of possession. They wasn't like West Brom had a lot of the ball and they weren't like continuous at our back line. My problem with Sanchez is when the pressure is applied. Like if they'd have scored with 10 minutes to go, I saw the West Ham performance, and I was saying to Darius earlier, his eyes suddenly get bigger and bigger because it's like he gets more scared about what's going to happen. And that's my problem. He goes into panic mode. His eyes get, you watch him. I tell you what, you go and watch the West Ham game and watch Toby Alderweireld and Sanchez in that game. Their eyes slowly got bigger. Each goal that went in, their eyes widened because they just knew the pressure was coming. And that's my only concern about the defense. When you're put under severe pressure, is can they cope? Now, I know that we've had, one of the better better defensive records in the league, but it's the mistakes that cost us. As you said, Marlon, those mistakes are in them players. I still think Dyer is going to make a mistake at any given time. I still think Sanchez is going to make a mistake at any given time. And we do need to keep a consistent centre-back pairing. Who was it that made the difference? Was it the manager or was it the players today that, I guess, gave us that performance? Who wants to answer that first?
I would say
go on,
Kane
Emmanuel, go on.
well. Sorry. Yeah, I'd say Kane. I think having Kane there, it's like, I don't want to say it, and we're not a one-man team, but it's kind of like when Kane plays, he knits things all together. I don't like it, but everyone's running with it. The media's running with it. I don't want to agree with it. I don't think we are, but when he comes, he does knit things together. But I think Mourinho was under pressure as well, and I think Kane made a difference, and Lamela.
Yeah. Mike, what's your response? Who was it? Is Jose going to take all the credit for this, or is he going to say, "Oh, it was the players, it was a return of Harry Kane"? What's your thoughts?
He can't take the credit, really. The players performed, didn't they? They turned up and actually wanted to win the game. So
this is Jose we're talking about, remember? So I'm fully expecting to say.
And he will take the credit. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, my choices that I've made today, that they affected the game. They were the right decisions." Blah 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 blah. But you can't take it away from the players today. They turned up. They all looked from the moment the kickoff. The moment from kickoff, we looked like we wanted to play football. We looked like we wanted the points, and we looked like we wanted to actually play football. And you could argue that Kane made a difference, and he probably did, to be fair. And the same with Lamela. I don't think Kane looked 100% fit. I wouldn't say he looked like he was on top form, although he did score. So, but yeah, I think for me, the players take the credit today.
Okay, so Darius, again, I know we've had our ups and downs with Jose, and we've had, obviously in the last few games. I think you're more of you want to see the performances. I know you're very much a football first person, and so we should all be. I've always said and maintained the season since the time that we've got Jose, he's only been brought in for one reason. He's only been brought in for us to win a trophy, and it's almost by hook or by crook. Now, it's whether or not Jose can react from this, see that this is what we should be doing as Spurs fans, seeing what we should be doing as a Spurs team, and continue this. Do you think this is a turning of a corner in terms of how we play?
No. No, but you know what it is? It's, for me, it's when I look at Jose, it's there's only one case study in football right now I can think of at the top of my head who plays defensive football and gets results and is doing well, and that's Atletico Madrid. And even then, they have changed the way they've played over the years to play a more attacking style of football. They play 3-4-2-1 now, and they fly their wing backs forward. So they have a defensive structure, but they aren't just doing what we're doing. They are playing a lot more attacking. And if you look at all the teams in the top 5 leagues and around the world who are top of the league and dominating teams, they're not doing it by not having the ball. And I always say to myself, if you want to take pressure off your players, you give them the opportunity to rectify mistakes, to have opportunities on goal. If they have 20 shots, 15 shots a game, they're going to have a much better opportunity, a much better chance of scoring than if you give them 5 chances and they maybe not take them. You've got a striker who's not on form, or maybe a striker who's not starting like Vinicius. You're giving him 1 or 2 chances a game to score. And it kind of looks like the players aren't playing as well. But then I think, well, they're not being given the opportunity to they're not being positioned, and they're not being set up in a way that they can kind of thrive. Do you know what I mean? If we played West Brom, and I know that we played well against West Brom today, but if we scored, like we were discussing this, Sam, if we had scored in that first half, just before the first half had finished, I think the second half might have been a slightly bit different in terms of we might not have come out as strong, and that would have really annoyed me because West Brom still did look like they had a couple chances. So for me, it's just about, when I watched the game today and we dominated the whole game, West Brom never even looked like they were going to get 2 goals back. Even if they were to score, I thought, yeah, we'll go and score another one. And that's what makes me annoyed. I look back at all the other games that we've played and I think, why don't we take this approach to other teams? Why are we showing respect to teams when we actually have a like-for-like squad with the majority of the Premier League? I understand the City games. I understand the Liverpool games even. I understand even the Arsenal game, because prep form goes out the window. You're trying to hold on to a lead. But against teams, even who are parallel with us, your Leicesters, your Evertons, your West Hams, we shouldn't be showing them respect, because at the end of the day, we show them.
I was going to say, is that down to the personnel? Because I had this argument a lot with people about, this is still very much a Poch team, a Poch squad. I know we've brought in a number of players, but those players haven't necessarily just come in and started everything. Obviously, Bale hasn't come in and started. Vinicius is a bit part player in this. Rodon, again, is not a centre back that's definitely playing every week. Joe Hart was brought in to fill. Reguilon is missing today. Obviously, that was a big difference to us, I think, in our attacking play. And Doherty, as I call him, Matt Doe, hasn't really come up and taken that mantle from Aurier. So none of the players really have come in and said, right, this is now our place in the team. So a lot of the players who are still playing are all Poch players, and they did this to Poch come the end of it. The thing that I liked today was that the selection in terms of who played, although the Kane was a bit of a surprise, you could see what Lamela did when he came in against Chelsea. He definitely raised that energy levels. And now Jose has a decision to make. He now has to decide, we can't be seen. I've said this before. I don't think Sissoko is a player he's a filler. He just comes in and fills positions. And when we need a right back, if we've got a problem, he puts him at right back. When we need someone to fill the right wing position and he fills that. He's not a player that commands any sort of place on that pitch for us to be progressive. So this is where I kind of have a little bit of sympathy with Jose. But then, as you were saying earlier, Darius, he should be making sure he knows this about the players and plays the right players from the start.
I'll only say why I don't have sympathy is because I've seen my team press teams high. I always go back to that West Ham game. I know we drew 3-3, but that first half, the West Ham game will stick with me for the whole season, because the way we played against West Ham in the first half was almost flawless for me. Like the way that we defended and pressed and pushed for 3 goals was amazing. And it was only because Jose completely switched how we played in the second half that I think we kind of lost that concentration. If we carry on going at the throat of these teams, I don't really care how competitive and how close to a squad that we've got. If we've got Harry Kane up front and Heung-min Son and Ndombele and Højbjerg, we've got better players, good enough players to beat these teams and go and dominate these teams as well. That's my only thing. But again, that's like you said, it's preference on how you look at football.
We look more balanced as well today, didn't we?
We do. That's what I think. Yeah, 100%.
So there's comment here from Don P. Afternoon, Don. Lamela has energy, but very little end product. He hasn't scored a Premier goal since 2019. That's why Spurs fans get at him. But also, I would add to that, Don, in those years as well, he's never been fit for a consistent length of time. He had a big hip injury problem, which kept him out for a very, very long time. And when he has come in, I've always said Lamela has always got that effort in him. Yes, sometimes he does lack that final ball, but again, if you don't have the consistency by playing week in, week out, you're not going to have that. You can't expect him to be out for 4, 3, 5 months, whatever, come back in and then be amazing. He does need time. I'm hoping that the way and the reason Jose took him off after 72 minutes today was because he's seen that this player is now going to be very important going forward. And he's probably wanting to wrap him up in a bit of cotton wool, as they say. We still got Ali to look forward to coming back. So I think, again, that gives us more options. Lo Celso Reguilon might be a bit longer term injuries at the moment, but don't we do have to look at these players. They've been injured. They haven't had a chance to play in the game. It just shows me that, the likes of Winks and Sissoko might need to be looking for clubs in the summertime. That's all I think.
I noticed today, though, game. I'm glad you said it with Winks and Sissoko. Whenever they get the ball in midfield, what direction does the ball always go? Back or sideways?
Yeah.
Did you notice it went forward a lot more today, even with Højbjerg and Ndombele? And
even the dribbling from Lucas as well. We noticed Lucas was dribbling the ball forward a lot.
It's back to even Docky. I don't think he's been given a fair chance yet. So I'm not going to hang him out to dry yet. Nah, he needs a consistent amount of games for me. So
and he needs to. I mean, I think we need to play him in a 3 a lot more as well. I think he would play a lot better in a 3 at the back. I don't think he can play as a 4.
He came on today and looked far more positive than when he's been playing previously. So it just seemed like there was a noticeable change in the vibe on the pitch today from the Spurs players. Again, like we take it into consideration that we're playing West Brom, but it was probably the ideal game for some of these players to be involved in, to get that confidence up that has obviously been lacking in the previous few games. And it's quite obvious that Ndombele and Højbjerg, that's probably the central partnership in front of that back four that we need, because Ndombele, although he may not be as good defensively as Højbjerg, but when he gets the ball, he's far better in possession. And he's always looking at one route. He's going forward all the time, not sideways, not back unless he's under pressure.
Yeah.
He's always going forward. And that's probably why Lamela sat in front of them worked well today, because he had the comfort that he's got Højbjerg and Ndombele behind him.
Exactly. But what with the 4-2-3-1, when you play, as I've talked about already, when you play Højbjerg and Sissoko, they both drop too deep. Playing a 4-2-3-1 with Højbjerg and Ndombele means Ndombele can play a little bit further forward. If he has to come back, he does that. But when you've got Lamela and Moura then coming back and buzzing around in that number 10 area, it gives them a little bit more numbers. And the numbers today was what worked for us, because it allowed us to play through the thirds. We weren't able to play through the thirds against Chelsea. We weren't able to play through the thirds against Brighton or Liverpool for that reason. The gaps were too big. So, I'm just going to go to this comment from Don. I put it up earlier, but I'm just going to read it out there. Kane made a massive difference today, but also playing Ndombele as number 8 CM enabled our team to play through the midfield. There you go. So then you can play a Lamela or Moura as a number 10, which gives us a forward threat. And that's precisely what happened today. So what I will ask, and I'll ask you all this, what do we need to see on a consistent basis from this team going forward? Because obviously we've got big games coming up. We've got Wednesday, against Everton. Or is it Thursday? I can't remember if it's Thursday.
Oh, is it this week?
And then it's this week, yes, midweek FA Cup, 5th round. And then we've got Manchester City at the weekend. So 2 massive games for different reasons. What do we want to see now consistently from this team going forward? I'll come to you for that, Marlon, first.
Can I go last? I had to think about this. I'll make some notes.
I think the only thing I want to see from this team now is the movement off the ball. I don't mind who is playing. Again, I think Lamela and Lucas suit that team. They did suit the team today because they didn't really have much pressure on them. I think when teams are pressing Lamela and Lucas, they don't look as good. I think Lucas doesn't look as good dribbling on the ball, beating players when defenders are slightly better. But I will say what I did like to see was movement off the ball. Everybody was making movements off the ball, and it allowed players to move into the spaces. It allowed Kane to pick up the ball, and Ndombele had so much space, and he also had options. So that's all I want to see. I don't mind who plays in what position. I just want to see a little bit more movement off the ball, and that comes from the manager. That's what you coach in training. It's subconscious movement. That's what Liverpool coach. Because Liverpool players are moving. Even if, I'll use a better example. De Bruyne. If De Bruyne gets the ball, those City players are going to run regardless. It doesn't matter if he's going to give the ball to them. They will run, and if it doesn't come back, they'll get back into a position and they'll run again.
Do you know what else helped today? And I've given him a bit of a bashing over the last few games is Davis. He gave us an outlet in the wide areas.
Forward,
so when you have too many midfielders and it's getting very congested, you need an outlet. Before, in the last few games, I didn't see us have an outlet in the wide areas. Obviously, when Sergio missed the game and he got taken off at halftime, that's, he doesn't have that forward impetus for us. But Davis played a lot higher today. He played a lot wider, and we were able to put the ball out into both them fullbacks when there was a lot of pressure in the midfield. And that enabled us to keep better possession. Now, I said, if we are playing a better team and they can kind of combat that, is how we then, deal with the counter-attack threat more. If we lose the ball high up the pitch, we have to then deal with the counter-attack. And that's going to be the problem against someone like City, who have got much better players, even Everton, who have got much better players on the ball.
That Everton game is going to be really tough.
If we lose the ball in them areas, it's how the transition is for us to then deal with it. And this is where I'm thinking about the Sanchez-Alderweireld partnership. I'm not overly confident that they can deal with a lot of pressure consistently. That's how Jose wants to play. He wants his centre-backs and his defence to deal with pressure a lot and then catch teams. And exactly what happened today. Have you had time to think about it, Marlon?
Yeah. I would say definitely same team. It has to be the same concept. You just have to keep pressuring. And I think when you sit back too much, even though they've done it within the last 15 minutes today, you give the other teams more emphasis.
Yeah, you give them a chance. It feels like they've got a chance, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think against better teams, it just it gets too much. But I think let's keep the same teams. And obviously, you can't have your fullbacks as forward as today against Everton. And I noticed that with Davies today. And I agreed with you. He played very well today. I think it's because it's further up. We played better than normal.
Yeah.
But I just think definitely keep the same team. And give him a chance. Sanchez and Alderweireld could work. I don't know who else you're going to put in there. If no one trusts Dyer.
You must like Sanchez, you really
no,
must
but
like
then
him.
who else have we got? Rodon's still
I know what you
Rodon's
mean.
still new and young. I don't think he's ready for it yet. You need to feel him out.
We need to go buy a centre back. I think that's why we need to go buy a centre back in the summer. I think that would be more important for me than even buying I think we need a right winger and I think we need a centre back. And
just before I get
is a main priority.
Just before I get to you, Mike, on that, I'm just going to give you the stats from the game today because it's interesting reading. Possession, and again, take into consideration West Brom. So Spurs obviously first on this, 66 to 34% in terms of possession, 13 shots to 4, 6 on target, 1 for them, 8 corners to 0. West Brom, 16 fouls and 12. That's an important stat for me because you usually associate a Sam Allardyce team with a lot of aggression. We had more fouls than them, which shows me we were pressing them. We were trying to get around them more, and that's when you commit fouls. I don't mind committing fouls. It's where you commit the fouls. We didn't have too many in them. What Jose calls that lateral free kick area, which is just inside your half, which is from the wide area, which is going to be put into the box and for them to attack. We dealt with that pretty well. So I'm happy that has kind of maybe changed from the last few games. So go on then, Mike. Just give me your thoughts on that. Into what you want to see going forward.
I probably echo what Marlon said insofar as I think you can't change a winning team, can you? It's that old cliche saying, isn't it? If nothing's broke, then in the following game, don't there's nothing to fix, is there? Don't fix anything. So I would probably like to see this same lineup if everyone's fit. I would probably like to see the majority of this team play against Everton and give them consistency. As I say, consistency is important. So unless there's any forced changes, I would probably like to see this lineup against Everton and see how we go about playing a team that's obviously better than what we played today. And I think we pressed well as well today. So I think just everything really about today's game, just take it into the next game and then take it into the City game and then see what happens, because the team's always been chopping and changing. So there's never really been a consistent team, a consistent same 11, a consistent same back four. Probably the only person that's been consistently in goal for most of the season has been Hugo Lloris. But I think, as I say, consistency is key, and keep the same lineup for Thursday.
Harry Kane allows us much more control, because I even forgot to mention about him dropping into that middle as well. So we had the numbers game in that middle today, because Harry Kane does that job as well. So at times there was probably 5 players in the central area, and because they were placing themselves in better positions between the lines, we were able to pick up the ball and more higher up the pitch. So Kane gives us a lot more control in that, and I think he just brings that intensity. He wants to win. You can see that when he scored his goal, he's punching the air, he's getting everybody around him, and the players just look happier. Confidence is a massive thing in football.
I think Lamela plays a key part as well, because with pressing, his pressing is like actually really dangerous, because even if he doesn't get the ball, he's taking. That's what I think he needs. He just takes everything out. There's no messing about with him. I think that's what Spurs need. Him and Holberg are very key there. You need the intensity. That's what I wrote down in the last game. We had none. It was like there was a clip that went around on Twitter when it was like we went 1-0 down and players were just walking. There was none of that today. There was even Ndombele was walking a couple of times. I was like, what are you doing?
You can't walk. For me, you can't. If you're losing a game, the only time you walk on a football pitch is when you're walking on or off. Every other time on the pitch, you should be moving. You know what I mean? You should be moving constantly. And when you're losing a game, you have to show intensity. And the only way you can show intensity for me is to make sure you get as close to your player as quickly as possible. And when you're walking, you don't do that. So I think all in all, that's a good summation from all you guys. Go on.
Just one question. Where would you put Lo Celso?
I'll let him go first.
It's a really tough one,
because this could be a good one, because I like these sort of questions. Go on then.
There's only two. I mean, he can play in that Ndombele role alongside Højbjerg, but I think he's probably better in the number 10. Same as Ali. better than number 10. For me, I'd put him in the number 10 role.
I think he's a similar player to Lo Celso, just slightly. I think he's got better quality, but he's less aggressive. So I think that him and Lamela, Lo Celso and Lamela should kind of alternate between that either right-sided midfield or the number 10. Because if you actually look, Lamela actually kind of was playing on the right side of midfield in the second half, and he was just drifting in, and Lucas were just all interchanging. So if they're doing that, really and truly, you've got like 3 attacking midfielders. Yeah, I think Lo Celso and Lamela can alternate, and then Ali can play in that 10. I think Ali will. I've been against Ali coming back into the team. I just think I've kind of thought that I'm not really going to see much more of Ali. If you can get 40-50 mil for him, you can reinvest that into the team. But you know what? I think that he can actually provide something now. I've seen that number 10 needs aggression and creativity, and he can provide that, and he can also provide goals as well. So if Kane's dropping into that 10, Ali can do what he was doing when Poch was here and pushing on and being that number 9 when Kane dropped into the 10. So we could see. Do
you think Ali's a one-trick pony and he can only play in that number 10 role?
I think he is one of those players where Ali needs to either be the main man or right next to a striker so he can work off him. I don't think Ali can play in as a designated number 10, and I don't think Ali can play as a centre mid like he was doing at MK Dons. I just think he's one of those players where you kind of have to accept the fact that he's a little bit of a lazy bastard, and you kind of have to let him do his thing. And I think that he can, but it will help if Kane drops into that 10 and it allows him to kind of push on a little bit further. I think that Mourinho is expecting too much of Ali to defend, and he's just not going to do that for us. But
I think you made the point. You made the point about laziness. Now, whether it's laziness, whether it's a lack of desire to want to do it, it's up in the air with that. I think Ali. I think with Ali, when he came onto the scene and when he was at MK Dons, he was the main man. When he played for England the early part of his career, he was playing a box to box. He was given that role to play as a number 8. He's kind of then decided he's maybe gone down this almost like a Frank Lampard route. I'm more of a goal scorer. So because of that, he plays higher up the pitch and then maybe doesn't want to work so much going back because he's thinking, I've got to do all that. Then I'm not going to be in the box area to get the goals. Frank Lampard was such a good player in terms of being able to score, but he had the ability to do both. He could get back, get forward, because his engine was like that. Maybe Delhi doesn't have the engine to be able to do that job.
And that's the way football's going as well, isn't it?
And that is the way football's going.
Managers want you to be a machine.
I think what you were saying about the Lucas and the Lamela thing, I think you could probably, to get Lo Celso in, you could maybe play a 4-1-2-3 and maybe have Lamela on a wide area for someone like Bergwijn or even possibly Mora, have someone on the other side. Because what Lamela can then do is what he did today, is drift in from that right, make numbers into the midfield and have a forward threat going forward. So you have Aurier
covering that right wing anyway.
Exactly. So you've got Aurier who will do that. And you've also got Højbjerg who will fill positions. He's a better filler of positions than Sissoko is because he's better on the ball and more talented. Yeah, and that's what we need. You need players who are better on the ball to be able to do things once you get it back.
Yeah, Højbjerg's forward pass in this game was absolutely ridiculous. He was threading passes somehow. I didn't even know I was getting it through.
The things with Sissoko, he's got aggression and he's strong on the ball, but other than that,
there's nothing else, is there?
I like him, but other than that, it's just
to be fair to him, he's got an engine on him as well. It's just his quality, isn't it? Like on the ball, like that Chelsea game, he was hiding. He didn't want that ball at all. He did not want it.
My old GTE from 1990's got an engine in it, but it don't work. Do you know what I mean? I don't care if he's got an engine. He don't work well, man. I don't want to see that brother anymore playing on the football.
It's a strength, and it's a strength. That's what people like.
He's good off the bench, kind of shoring up if we're winning 2-3-0, and you need to make it a little bit muddy. And even then, I would be a little bit scared to see him come on. I've kind of got to that stage now. I'm done. Again, we've won, so there's nothing. We can't talk about a guy who didn't play the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. We did this with Bale the other day as well. Marlon, I'm going to give you the benefit of that about Sanchez. I'll give Sanchez a little bit of credit today. He didn't concede. Neither did Alderweireld. So we have to always praise the players for doing what they did. And his job was not to let goals in. So because of that, the defense had a good game. There will be bigger tests, and obviously the game against Everton will be a big test, and it'll be obviously a massive game against City come the weekend.
I've got a really quick question before we finish off.
Yeah.
Which game would you rather win?
Everton.
Everton.
Yeah, I'll go Everton as well.
Okay, I think we're all on the same agreement then.
All day long.
I want to cut right now.
Even on, like I'm saying, even on our best day, you can lose to City. Even on your best day.
It's true.
In a cup game, it's a one-off.
To me, City's won the league already, so it doesn't really.
Yeah,
I'm glad they win that.
At least we're all on the same page. That's good.
I don't know no City fans, so they can win it every year for me.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, very true.
Liverpool
Very true.
fans are just getting on my nerves because they just keep beating us.
Well, it's been really good, lads. Obviously, we're all happy and more buoyant than we would. This would have been an awful show had we lost today. We can take something from the performance, but if we'd have lost, it would have been. I think there would have been a lot more questions being asked of the manager. It's going to be interesting to see what he says in his press conferences. It's going to be good to see whether he praises certain players or he's going to say, yeah, well, you know, it's a team selection and it's Harry Kane coming back. It's going to be very interesting. But I'm better than I was yesterday. So, therefore, like, subscribe, share, comment. Everybody out there, please, let's go the road to 500. When we get to 500 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a free T-shirt, free football shirt of your choice. Yeah, we want to see the numbers going up, so please share where you can. Gentlemen, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Darius and Marlon. Thank you very much for your appearance on your today. Hope to see you on many, many more. Well done, gentlemen, and come on, you Spurs. Let's go out with the old...